Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Callie.
And I'm Bean.
So today we are going to go through another one of our year-long readathons that we are participating in, and that is actually one that we have created ourselves, and it is our year-long Tome Topple. So if you don't know what a Tome Topple is, usually they're like 24-hour or weekend-long sprints of books that are over 500 pages. Well, that's a lot in a short span, so we chose 12 prompts to do like one tome a month for a whole year. Which felt more doable to us.
So far, not too bad.
Not at all. So we're going to go through, like I said before, we have 12 prompts, so we're going to go through all the prompts and all the books that we have chosen for said prompt. So,
without further ado,
so prompt number 1 is a standalone book, and we actually picked the exact same book. Priory, the Orange Tree. At a whopping 834 pages, this is definitely considered a tome. I bought this when it was on sale, and all I know about it is dragons and matriarchy.
And I bought this one when it first came out because it was one of my most anticipated releases of last year, and then I didn't read it last year because I fail at this kind of stuff.
It's huge. It's so intimidating.
But it's also beautiful.
It is.
It is a beautiful book, and I've also heard that not just the dragons, the matriarchy, but also lesbian romance in here as well. So that's about all I know about it. And there's 2 different kinds of dragons, the East style and the Western style, so I am intrigued to see how they do.
Next, you'll notice a trend here, part of a duology. And we both picked, again, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor at 532 pages. So this one was our January book of the month. So this was our first tome that we chose.
It's a very shiny tome.
Very shiny tome. So this was our pick. This follows Laszlo, who is trying to figure out what happened to the land of Weep because it has mysteriously gone away. And we also follow Sarai, who is a god spawn in hiding, so that she doesn't get murdered. Very good book. Very much enjoyed the duology.
You guys can check out our discussion on it down below.
So the next thing is part of a trilogy.
And the one that I went with is Terrier by Tamora Pierce. This is the first book in the Becca Cooper trilogy, which is actually chronologically the first book in the world of Tortall. This follows Becca, who is training to be a bloodhound, so basically a guard in the early days of Tortall, and she has a special ability that she's able to, I believe she has a heightened sense of smell. I've only heard good things about this series. This is one of the few that I haven't read by Tamora Pierce, and it's about time that I did.
I chose a book that is actually coming out later this year, and that is Lightbringer by Legrand. This is the finale to the Imperium trilogy, and I am very, very excited for it. The cover and title was just recently released, and I am living for it. So this is the Furyborn trilogy, which is a dual timeline trilogy following Riel, and then 1,000 years later following Eliana, and we get to see how their stories intersect, even though they are 2 women 1,000 years apart. Next is part of a series, and we were counting this as more than 3 books. So I chose Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling, and we're already reading it, so it worked out.
It does. And the book I chose is called Blackveil by Kirsten Britton. This is the 4th book in the Green Riders series, and I did put a little bit of a pause on this series because it does get very intense, but it is a high fantasy series that I am enjoying immensely.
The next prompt is a fantasy book. So this one's kind of just sort of blanketed. I know just about every single book I've mentioned would fall under this blanket.
Same.
But I decided to go with something different, and I chose Flashback, which is the 7th Keeper of the Lost Cities book by Shannon Messenger.
And I've gone with Eragon by Christopher Paolini. This is a book that I read back when it first came out, and I haven't read since then. And I have the special edition from Barnes & Noble now, the exclusive collector's edition, with some very pretty things in it. And I'd really like to reread this, because I remember enjoying it immensely. And then watched the movie, and it kind of ruined it a little bit. So now I'd really like to reread the book, now that the movie's out of my head, and I can enjoy it again, hopefully.
The next prompt is a contemporary or historical fiction, because we did realize that most contemporaries are under about 300 pages, but most historical fictions are considered tomes.
Yes, they are.
So I chose My Calamity Jane by the Lady Janies, which comes out later this year, and I'm really excited for it. This is the third Lady Janie book.
And the book I have chosen is another one that comes out later this year, and that is Lady Hotspur by Tessa Gratton. And all I really know about this is that it is a King Lear retelling.
So the next prompt is read a 2020 release, and my pick is House of Earth and Blood, the first book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. It's Sarah J. Maas. I got nothing.
No surprise to anybody. And I will be reading Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett, which is the sequel to Foundryside, which was one of my favorite books of 2018. And this book has been pushed like 4 or 5 times now for its release date, so I'm kind of irritated and I really just want to read it right now.
The next prompt is to read a book that has a cover that you feel that is your aesthetic. So I chose Skyward by Brandon Sanderson for a couple of reasons. One, love purple. Love this. And it's a Charlie Bowater cover.
So
and that's just constantly my aesthetic.
And I don't really know what my aesthetic is. So I am going with The Tiger's Daughter by K. Arsenault Riviera. And I just really love this cover. It does look hand-painted, and it's just beautiful, and I also just really want to read this book, so.
Next, we have a book that gives you your Hogwarts house feels. So, for me, that is Slytherin, so I chose The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This is a Mulan retelling, and this girl is all about, like, ambition and determination. Granted, it's about murder, but it's there.
And I went out on a limb here and chose a book that I should not have picked, but it is The Count of Monte Cristo, not the abridged version, by Andre Dumas. And this is probably the longest book I have at 1,064 pages. And I actually picked this one. I am in Hufflepuff, but I picked this one because of the intense shows of loyalty that our main character has for his family in this book. He goes literally to extreme levels in order to hold on to that loyalty. So this is also one of my favorite classics, so I'm looking forward to finally rereading it.
Is a book that you've had on your shelves for a long time. So I chose The Diviners by Liva Bray, because I will eventually read this book, I swear.
And I, again, picked a very long book, and I'm doing The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, because I don't know how many people have told me I need to read Brandon Sanderson, and this is the book that I have been told to start with, that is in his adult series. But it's a bit of a chunker here, guys. It's a long one. But I've had this on my shelf for a while.
The next prompt is a hyped book, and I chose King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Now that I have finally read the rest of Leigh Bardugo, I feel comfortable in reading the King of Scars book to prepare for this. I believe this one's a duology, but I've heard really good things, and I remember last January this was the only book people were talking about.
And I have chosen The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, because who hasn't heard about this book? Let's be honest here, guys.
And the last prompt is a book of your own choosing. So if none of the books that are tomes fit any of the other prompts, it'll fit this one. So I chose Heart of Flames by Nikki Palpretto. This is the sequel to Crown of Feathers, and I was not prepared for how large and in charge this book is. It's chunky, and that makes me scared.
And I will be reading Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons, because that cover, though, with the dragon, and I just want to read more dragon books, because you can never have enough dragon books.
Those are all of the prompts that we have. We're really excited. We've already knocked out a couple of these books on our TBRs, and we're really pumped about it. I think, for the most part, we're on par at one tome at least a month. We're on par, which is pretty decent. So, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday.
And if you want to be reminded whenever we post these videos, hit the little bell icon down below. You can also find us on any of our social medias, our blogs, or on Goodreads, and you can find those links down in the description below.
We will also keep a list of what each prompt is down below in the description if you would like to reference that in the future. And we will see you guys in our next video. Bye!